She had always believed dreams were fragile things, like pressed flowers hidden between the pages of a book, beautiful, but easily crushed by the weight of reality. Eleanor Whitcomb learned that truth on the morning she was told she would marry the Duke of Ashbourne. The words had been spoken gently, almost kindly by her uncle, yet they landed like a sentence passed by a judge who had already made up his mind. The Duke was wealthy beyond imagination, powerful beyond refusal, and older than her father would have been if he were still alive. He was a man whose name carried authority in every room and whose presence silenced conversations. Eleanor, barely 20, felt her future close in around her like iron bars gilded with gold. The carriage ride to Ashbourne Cathedral passed in a blur of stone villages and autumn fields, yet Eleanor saw none of it. Her hands trembled beneath the lace of her gloves, her breath shallow as though even the air had become too heavy to bear. She had dreamed of love, of laughter shared over small joys, of kindness found in quiet moments. Instead, she was being offered security in exchange for obedience, comfort in place of choice. The whispers followed her wherever she went. The Duke was cold. The Duke was distant. The Duke had buried one wife already and had no need of another except for duty. Each rumor carved another crack into her heart. The cathedral was vast and echoing, candlelight flickering against ancient stone as if even the walls were witnesses to her sorrow. Eleanor stood beside him at the altar, her veil trembling as she fought back tears. The Duke did not look at her. His face was carved from restraint, silver hair neatly combed, his expression unreadable. When she dared to glance at him, she felt impossibly small, like a child standing before a mountain. He smelled faintly of leather and winter air. There was no cruelty in him that she could see, yet no warmth either, only distance like a door forever closed. When the vows were spoken, Eleanor's voice faltered. She pressed her hand to her mouth to stop the sob that threatened to escape. The Duke's voice, when he spoke, was steady and low, carrying authority but no softness. To the gathered guests, it was a perfect match. Wealth joined to youth, power secured by beauty. No one noticed the way Eleanor's fingers tightened around her bouquet until the stems bent beneath the strain. That night, the grand halls of Ashbourne Castle swallowed her whole. Servants moved silently, lighting fires and drawing curtains, preparing chambers she felt unworthy to enter. The Duke escorted her without touching her, his presence like a shadow beside her. Eleanor expected dread, humiliation, fear, everything the whispered stories had promised. She expected demands. She expected cold possession. Instead, when the chamber doors closed behind them, he surprised her. "You are afraid," he said simply, not accusing, not unkind. Eleanor could not answer. Tears spilled freely now. The velvet box rested in Eleanor's trembling hands like a fragile promise, its weight far heavier than it appeared. For a moment the room seemed to hold its breath, the candle flames wavering, the fire snapping softly, as though even the castle itself waited for her reaction. She unfolded the document again, reading each line slower this time, allowing the meaning to sink into her. Bones, freedom, protection, choice, words she had never imagined would belong to her, least of all on a night she believed would steal them forever. Her chest tightened, not with fear now, but with something dangerously close to hope. She looked at the Duke, searching his face for cruelty, for mockery, for the hidden cost she assumed must exist. She found none. Instead, his eyes were steady, weary in a way that spoke of long-held regret rather than desire. "I will not touch you tonight," he said quietly, as if sensing the storm inside her, "nor any night unless you ask me to." The words stunned her more than the document itself. Eleanor had prepared herself for endurance, for silent suffering disguised as duty. Instead, she was being offered dignity. Her tears returned, but these were different, hot, unashamed, falling freely as the weight of expectation slipped from her shoulders. She whispered a thank you she barely understood herself, then stepped back, unsure how to exist in this new reality. That night, Eleanor slept alone in the vast bed, the space beside her untouched. For the first time since her childhood, sleep came without dread. She dreamed, not of escape, but of open doors. Morning light crept through the tall windows, painting the stone walls in gold. Eleanor awoke slowly, confused by the unfamiliar peace in her chest. Servants arrived with breakfast, treating her not like property, but like a duchess whose comfort mattered. When she entered the breakfast hall, the Duke stood as she approached, a simple gesture that startled her more than any grand display ever could. Days turned into weeks, and the castle transformed from a prison into a place of possibility. The Duke encouraged her curiosity, inviting her into conversations about land, governance, and history, topics she had been told were not meant for women. He listened when she spoke, truly listened, his attention never drifting. Eleanor found herself laughing at his dry wit, surprised by the warmth that surfaced when he spoke of books, music, and the wife he had lost long ago. He never demanded her presence, never imposed himself. Instead, he gave her space, and in that space, affection took root. One afternoon, Eleanor discovered a sunlit studio tucked away in a forgotten tower. Inside were canvases, brushes, and half-finished sketches. Her breath caught. She had loved to paint as a girl until it was deemed impractical, childish. That evening, the Duke quietly arranged for supplies to be delivered without comment, as though her joy were simply an obvious necessity. It was then she understood the